A recent study showed that more than 60% of second-born children walked earlier than their older siblings. The reason for this being that babies often learn by watching. This is according to Parents Magazine. There are many positives and negatives of having more than one child, but today I'm just going to talk about the positive side, and I'm going to attempt to persuade you to have more than one child instead of just having one. I know most of you guys here plan to get married and have kids, right?
See?
So I'm here to explain why you should have more than one child. The information that I will be providing to you today is from a variety of different sources and also from my own experience, because I have an older sister and a younger sister, and I believe that having siblings has benefited me a lot in life. I will be explaining that children with siblings tend to be more social, be better leaders, have a better drive to succeed and compete with their siblings, tend to be less lonely, they share more, they have more playmates growing up, and they have people around to comfort them. Having multiple siblings develops a good competitive drive, which helps in all aspects of life, such as schooling, sports, and your career. In a recent interview I had with Joseph Dower, I asked him what he believes the most beneficial part of having multiple siblings is. And he said having siblings really benefited him a lot in school, sports, and just many other aspects of life. He said with many siblings, you develop a competitive edge to be better than your siblings. He had an older brother, and if his brother got a better grade in the class, he expected himself to get a better grade than him. And he knew he'd be very disappointed if he didn't, and he'd be looked at as the worst son. He had that extra drive to succeed in school as a result of his brother. It was the same with sports. He had an older brother who excelled in sports. And he wanted to be just like him growing up. He wanted to achieve like the goals he did. He wanted to get the accomplishments he did. And so every day he went to practice working hard, knowing that not he just wanted to be the best on his team or be the best in the league, but he wanted to beat his brother. Alright, so siblings help develop a healthy competitive edge, which is another benefit of why you should have more than one child. Children also get to learn from their siblings' mistakes. According to ABC News, the firstborn children tend to be a leader of the family. They teach their siblings many things that they didn't learn because they didn't have an older sibling to fall back on or learn from their mistakes. The younger children have a sort of an advantage because they have their older sibling sort of as another parent. I'll talk more about that later. Another teaching tool. Parents also learn mistakes that their oldest children make and are less likely to put their next child in the same position to make the mistake that their older child had. This information may make it seem like the firstborn gets unlucky, but the great benefit they get is learning how to be a leader very early in life, and they also become very skilled babysitters. Now, let's take a look at the social aspect of having siblings. Children with siblings learn how to share at a young age, and they also learn how to communicate because they're with people from the day they are born, which is an advantage over children with no siblings. Children without siblings tend to be more shy and less outgoing. I'm not saying being shy or not being outgoing is a good thing, but being outgoing and not being afraid to talk to others is a very good quality that you want to possess that's going to help you succeed later in life. Children with siblings learn to share. And sometimes you'll see an only sibling be like daycare or something and get his toy taken away, and like, that's mine, that's my toy, you know? Children with siblings usually don't have that problem as much. Siblings can also act as parents, like I talked about earlier. According to Joe Dower, who grew up with two sisters and a brother, parents are not always around to comfort their child and help solve the problems. So siblings in that aspect might act as parents by helping them solve problems and comforting them. Joe said that he couldn't always go to his parents for help when he was having trouble, or maybe just going through a rough time. So a lot of the time he just went to his older brother or sister, and they always gave him great advice and were just always there for him, and he relied on them to help him get through tough times. They didn't just help him as a little kid, but still today he goes to them with his problems, like in high school and now in college. He asks some questions because they've all been through that. So they've definitely helped him with his problems. They also serve as great playmates as growing up, and they can grow up to be your best friend. Now, let's talk about how children with siblings tend to be less lonely. In my interview with Joe Dower, he admitted that today, he never feels lonely. Even if he's in a fight with his friends or something, he always has his siblings to fall back on. Children who don't have siblings or an only child don't have that person to fall back on. And it's just kind of a tough thing to do. Like when you're growing up, you may want to have friends over all the time, but your parents don't want that. And with your siblings, it's kind of like a constant sleepover. And I'm going to, you two are brothers, right?
Yes.
I'm going to bring you guys up here and ask you guys a question. Do you guys believe that you have benefited from having siblings and tend to fare well than your other friends who are only children?
I can honestly say I have.
What are a few examples of like what you've gotten from your brother?
I can just rely on him for anything. If I need help in any situation, I can just ask him questions whenever I need him. So.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I needed. Those are just a few reasons why children with siblings tend to fare better than children without siblings. And I hope that these points I've talked about today have persuaded you to have more than one child when you decide to have kids. Some of you, I hope you don't have kids because I don't know how well they will be. But, and so I'm going to reinforce my main points. Children with siblings tend to be more social, be better leaders, have a better drive to succeed and compete with their siblings. They tend to be less lonely. They have more playmates, and they always have someone around to comfort them. There may be a few disadvantages to having siblings, but like most things in life, the good outweighs the bad. Oh.